How you doing? I'm Pat with Suarez Physical Therapy.
This is Mike from Capital District Sport and Fitness.
And Dan from Capital District Sport and Fitness.
So what we're doing is we're starting a series. We're gonna go from PT to the gym, and every month we're gonna do a video on taking your physical therapy or your rehab exercises and applying them in the gym setting. What I see a lot is once my clients get better and they get symptom free, and we're starting to work on our rehab exercises, they want to know how to transition them as they get back into the gym.
And then once we get these clients in the gym, we'll have new members that come in for assessments. Sometimes we have past injuries that haven't fully healed or have fully healed, and we still have some movement dysfunction that we need to work through. And to kind of give us as coaches a bigger toolbox of exercise to work with, sometimes it's nice to meet with somebody like Pat and kind of work on some of these smaller movements and get your joints moving better so that you can do more in the gym.
So what we're going to do with our first one today is we're going to talk about the shoulder, specifically going overhead and how your shoulder blade moves when we're doing that. All right? All right, so what we're going to talk about is how the shoulder blade moves when you're going overhead. So you'll notice Dan go up overhead, and Dan is pretty good. What we're looking for is that upward rotation and that elevation of that shoulder blade. You can go put that one down. So what we see a lot in overhead athletes is either overuse of that trap, which just causes the shoulder blade to slide up and not upwardly rotate as much, or we get people to use their internal rotators a lot. And when they use their internal rotators in their lat, you'll notice it depresses and it downwardly rotates. And that's what can cause some of that impingement at the top of our shoulder. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a couple of basic exercises to try and get mid-trap and low-trap firing so we get better upward rotation with that elevation that's caused by the upper trap. So I'm gonna have Dan lie on his stomach for me. Right arm off the side here. Good. So we've got Dan. We're gonna do this right side first. And what I want him to do is turn his head to the right, so that upper trap has a little bit of slack. You're still gonna use it as you lift, but when you turn right, that takes a little bit of the tension off of that. And go ahead. Dan's gonna lift that arm up out to the side. Now, as he lifts that arm up out to the side, looks pretty good. He gets a little bit of engagement here, but what you notice is that shoulder doesn't really come up off the table, and so he's not getting as much activation through mid-trap as he could. So what I want you to do, Dan, is you're gonna come up, you're gonna try and squeeze those shoulder blades slightly. So you notice how when he squeezes those shoulder blades, he gets a little elevation from the table, and then his mid-trap is firing much stronger now, okay? So you're gonna come down. Now what I want him to try and do is I wanna try and have those two movements go together. So now, Dan, as you lift up, you're gonna bring that shoulder blade back to good, and you're gonna hold right there, and then back down. So now when he gets that little bit of elevation of the shoulder from the front, you see that mid-trap come in. All right, and then that's our T, that's our prone T. Now we're gonna go to our Y, which is gonna hit a little more low trap. So Dan's gonna go ahead and raise up at the diagonal. Good, and same thing, you notice how he kind of stops here, and we're gonna have you try and squeeze that shoulder blade down and back, and notice how he gets a couple more inches of lift from just engaging that shoulder blade, and he lifts that shoulder slightly off of the table there. Good, relax back down. So when you're doing these, you want to make sure that you're engaging that shoulder blade to its full capacity. If you have trouble doing it, you can get a clinician or a trainer to get you in that position, hold right there, and then just try and lift off. Hold from the shoulder and then relax. There you go, hold from the shoulder and relax. Because sometimes the issue is that the athlete doesn't know how to get in that position. So if we can put them in that position and have them hold it, now they can start to learn how to properly use their scapular muscles. So the last few exercises were for scapular muscles, mid-trap, low trap. This one's gonna be for your serratus. So we're gonna do a barrel hug for the serratus with a band around the back. You can use a super band like this, or you can use just a regular TheraBand and just hold it in your hands and wrap it around. So what I'm gonna have Dan do is he's gonna stagger stance here. All right, so a little soft in the knees, and he's gonna reach out and around like he's hugging a barrel, right? And notice how when he hugs that barrel, he's pushing through his shoulders. He's kind of rounding his upper back and kind of punching towards the wall there. Go ahead and do another rep for me. And in PT, what I like to do is I like to start off parallel with the ground. Make sure that you're able to engage these muscles at a lower height for your shoulder to start. And then what we'll do is we'll start working our way up. So go ahead, Dan, we'll go about midway. Good. And then go up high. And once you have the control, you can start getting to higher angles to mimic your position in your sport. So again, this one's for the serratus. This one helps keep that shoulder blade along that rib cage to reduce that impingement in the top of the shoulder as well.
This is Mike at Capital District Sport and Fitness. I'm here with Pat Suarez from Suarez Physical Therapy. And Pat just talked about some common dysfunctions and issues that he'll see with shoulders with weightlifters and overhead athletes. Kind of the inability for that scapula to rotate up on the rib cage, the inability to use the serratus and lower trap to stay in strong positions. Now when we're in the gym, we want to be able to still train and get training effects while you're working on those smaller movements. And here we have the landmine press, which is a little bit of a smarter alternative while you're working on those rehab exercises than your traditional overhead press. Where the traditional overhead press, you may lock your shoulders in one position and not be able to get that good upward rotation. You may be reinforcing some of those bad or not so great upper trap dominant patterns. And those landmine presses allow you to train overhead while working on those same things that Pat talked about. So with the landmine, you can get it set up in a landmine. If you don't have that, you can just put the barbell in the corner of a rack. But from here, we're gonna grab the top of the barbell. We're gonna get in just a good athletic positioning. We're gonna make sure at the bottom that we set our shoulder blade up to be in a good position to press. So from here, Pat's just gonna create a little bit of a window in between his elbow and his side. That's gonna put that scapula in a better position to work. From here, we're just gonna think about punching and reaching up towards the ceiling. So Pat's gonna go through a rep right here. You'll see as Pat punches up, he gets that good upward rotation of the shoulder blade. The low trap's keeping him on that rib cage. The serratus is helping him slide up and upwardly rotate, and then we'll control back down. Now one thing we're looking at here is that we stay in a good position on the way down and finish with that space again in between your elbow and your body. So we'll go through another rep right here. And the next thing we're gonna focus on during the landmine press is making use of your free hand. So Pat's gonna take his left hand, he's gonna bring it to his lower ribs right now, and just kind of feel those lower ribs move down and the abs engage. That way we're ensuring and monitoring that we're staying neutral through the lower back and not overextending or arching while we press. So big focus here, feel the abs engage, we're staying still from the belly button down and pushing and reaching up towards the ceiling.
Hey guys, Dan Jones here with Capital District Sport and Fitness. This is Pat Suarez from Suarez Physical Therapy. And today we're going to build a little bit off of some of the other exercises we've gone over in our other videos. We're going to keep working on the upward rotation of that scapula. So today we're going to do a TRX serratus slide. So I'm going to have Pat go ahead and get set up in our TRX here. Setup is going to be very important on the serratus slides. If you set yourself up in a poor position, you're not going to be able to get good recruitment of the serratus, and you're not going to get good upward rotation of the scap. So Pat's in a good position here, right? Hands out in front. If we were to move him back closer to the rack, it's going to be a little more difficult. So I'm going to have him pop back out here a little further. First thing I'm looking at here is obviously shoulder blade, upper back positioning. So I'm going to have Pat, I'm going to put my hand right on his back, and I'm going to push right into my hand here. Because we get better rounding here, so we can get better movement through the scaps and better recruitment of the serratus anterior here. Now from here, Pat's gonna extend his arms out. He's gonna reach out, put fingertips towards the ceiling, towards the wall. Good, you got good upward rotation of the scaps, and he's gonna bring him right back down. Go ahead, give me one more. Good rotation here. Some areas that you'll see people have trouble in this exercise is being able to use that anterior core. If they don't put themselves in a good position with their core and their hips, they're going to be promoting more dysfunction through that movement. So we got to make sure that their hips are in a good position. So what you'll often see is those hips drop down, that low back arch. We want to get them back to a good position here. We can just tilt them back down underneath so if they're squeezing their butt and using their abs through that whole movement.